Before exporting items from Business Central to Shopify, let's first have a look at the settings on the Shopify shop cart. So here's my MS Learn shop cart. And on the item product synchronization fast step, we have to configure a few settings. First of all, obviously the sync item direction is to Shopify because we want to sync items from Business Central to Shopify. I also disabled the auto create feature and the Shopify can update items feature. However, when you sync to Shopify, these two fields don't have any impact. And I also enabled can update Shopify products. So that might be important because if a Shopify product already exists, this field will specify whether an existing product can be updated or not. So in this case, I will enable it. The item template code is disabled because we don't need an item template when we sync to Shopify. But I also assigned the customer template. Now, the customer template is used for two different things. So first of all, it's used to create new customers when you import orders from Shopify. But it's also used to specify item prices. So, and here you can see the customer price group. So I've created a new price group, which I've called Shopify. And yeah, it's quite simple. So let me quickly show you. So these are Shopify prices. And if I click here on, let's go here, customer price group, sales prices, you see that I configured one item. But the customer price group that you assign on the Shopify cart is important because that's where Business Central will get the item prices from. Now, if an item isn't included in the customer price group, then Business Central will look at the customer template, because if a customer template includes another customer price group where the item could be included, then it will use that price. And if that's not the case, then the unit price is taken. So that's why not only the customer price group is important for item prices, also the customer template codes. All right, I'm not using a customer discount group. You could if you want, but in this case, I will leave the field blank. I also specified to sync images. And you will see the result in a few moments in the following video when we will export to Shopify. And I also enabled the sync of extended texts and the item attributes. Also very interesting because item attributes can also be used on your Shopify online shop because they specify the features and the attributes of the item. All right, then also SKU mapping is important, as you could read. So I will leave SKU mapping blank because the items that I will sync don't have any variants. But remember, if your items have variants in Business Central and you want to create them as SKUs, you might want to choose variant code or item number and variant codes. All right. And then, okay, for the rest, you can see the features that I have entered, but they're not that important for the item sync that I will show you in the next video. So these are the settings that I made before syncing items to Shopify. So let's have a look at how we can set up the item product synchronization in Business Central. So here you can see that I've opened my MS Learn Shopify shop cart, and I also expanded the item product synchronization fast step. Now, to sync items from Business Central to Shopify, obviously you need to select to Shopify here in the sync item field. And next, you can leave the auto create unknown items and Shopify can update items disabled because these fields are only used when you sync products from Shopify to Business Central, so you don't need to select them. I did enable can update Shopify products, of course, because if there are existing products and the settings, the item settings in Business Central have changed, and then Business Central can update Shopify products when this field is enabled. Now, there's an item template code, but as you can see, the field is non-editable, and that's of course because we don't need an item template. You only need an item template when you sync to Business Central. So let's have a look at prices, because items can have a unit price. If there is only a unit price, then the unit price will be synced to the products in Shopify. But of course, as you know, items can also have special prices, and these special prices can be based on a price group. So here you can see that I have created a specific price group for Shopify products or items in Business Central. So let me quickly show you, but it's quite simple. So this is my customer price group, and I have configured basically one item. So this is a standard Business Central functionality that you would also use to create special prices apart from Shopify. So the price group is important, but not only the price group, also the customer template is important. So here you can see that I've specified a customer template, and I just took an existing one for retail customers. Now, why would we need the customer template? Well, first, Business Central will check if items are included in the customer price group that you have specified here. But if the item is not included in the Shopify customer price group, then it will check if there is a customer price group entered on the customer template. And if items are included in that customer price group, it will take that special price to sync to Shopify. But if the item is also not included in that customer price group, like I just mentioned, then it will just take the unit price on the item card. So that's why the customer price group, but also the customer template, can be important when you sync items to Shopify. So what else did I configure? Sync item images. You can sync item images that you have in Business Central to Shopify. So that's something that we can also check in one of the following units. And I also enabled sync item extended texts. So if an item has an extended text, it will be exported to Shopify. You can also sync item marketing texts if you want, and then also item attributes. Now, these attributes can be interesting because you can create attributes like color, material descriptions, and so on. And you could use these in your web shop to have customers narrow down their selection by filtering on these attributes. For example, show me all office shares in black. So that's why syncing item attributes can be important. Now, another thing that can also be important is the SKU mapping. So if your items have variants, it might be important to include the variant or the item number and variant code. So in that way, Business Central will also sync variants to Shopify, so that there you do not only have the product, but also its variants that you can offer to your customers. Now, because my items don't have any variants, I can just leave the field blank. But remember that could be important when you're working with items and variants. All right, so further, I also set a default inventory policy to continue the status for created products on active. You could also set them to draft so that you would have to activate them in Shopify. And then also the action for removed products and blocked items, so they can automatically have the status archived in Shopify. So this is how you can configure your item product synchronization. In the following unit, we will have a look at how to sync items to Shopify. So let's have a look at how we can sync items from Shopify. Now, the first thing that is important, the settings here on my Shopify shop cart. So I've called my shop MS Learn, as you can see. And here on the item product synchronization fast tab, there are a couple of important settings. So first of all, to sync items from Shopify, of course, you need to set the sync item field to the from Shopify option. So there are three options in this case. I will select from Shopify. I also enabled the auto create unknown items. So if there is an item synced that doesn't exist in Business Central, it will be created automatically. Shopify can also update items, so that's also something I have enabled. And then also very important, the item template code. because some of the data is synced from Shopify, but of course we also need Business Central data like posting groups and so on. So, and these are included here in one of the templates that I've created. So let's quickly have a look. I've created a new template, Shopify item, and if I quickly show you the setup, I kept it quite basic. So let's go here to manage and then edit. And so basically the only thing that I've included in this template are the posting groups. And I also added the prevent negative inventory, which I have set to yes. Also very important, your template should be enabled, of course. All right. Okay, so let's return to the shop cart. And then, of course, there's the SKU mapping field. Like you could already read in the documentation here in this module, there are quite a number of options that you can choose from, and depending on these options, the system will create items and or variants. And let's start with the blank option. Now remember, the blank option means that only items are created and no variants. All right, now to sync items, we of course need products in Shopify, so let's have a quick look. And for this example, I've created a new product in Shopify. Also here, I kept it quite simple. So the product is the Houston conference table. So let me quickly show you. Conference table, I've added a picture, which is not very important. But the most important here are the variants. So I've created two variants, the modern and the contemporary variant. And you can see the difference in the name or the code. So the first one is number 1, the second one is number 2. But again, because we kept the SKU mapping field on the Shopify shop cart and Business Central blank, you will see that these variants will not be created. All right, let's go and sync the items in Business Central. And well, there are several ways to do this. You can go to synchronization and then simply run the sync products function. So let's do this. So what you will see is that a job queue is started. All these sync tasks are based on job queues. And if you know that you can schedule a job queue, you also know that all these sync tasks can be scheduled to run at a specific time each day, for example, automatically. All right, let's go and check the product. So I will go to Related and Products. So in here you can see now our Houston conference table. So Business Central didn't only import or synced the item or the product from Shopify, it also created a new item, 1002, as you can see here. So let's quickly check the item. So I will click here on the item number to open the item cart. And yeah, this is of course a normal Business Central item that combines the information synced from Shopify, like for example the description, with the information that I included in my template. As if I go to custom posting, you see for example the general product posting group, the inventory posting group, prevent negative inventory is set to yes. So these fields come from the template, the item template that I'm working with. Now, very important, the variants, because we saw in Shopify that you can have two variants, that we have two variants in Shopify. Do we also have them in Business Central? So let's quickly check. I will go to Item and Next Variants. And you will see that there are no variants like expected, because again, the SKU mapping field on the Shopify cart is blank, which means that only an item is created and no variants. So and here, by the way, on the Shopify products page, here at the bottom, you can see the two variants, they're recognized. So these are the Shopify variants, but only the first one has an item number. So this means that the item number by default is the modern variant, and there is no item or no variant for the contemporary one. But we can also use another SKU mapping, and that's something that we will check in the following video. In the first video, we saw that with the blank SKU mapping, only one item is created, although the product in Shopify had 2 variants. Now, when it's important that these variants are created as items or as variants for one item, you can use another SKU mapping. So let's have a look, and instead of blank, let's go to item number and see what happens. So I will go to Shopify, because I will duplicate my item. So the use and conference table is already imported or synced once, so obviously you cannot sync it a second time. So that's why I will quickly duplicate, and let's call this, for example, the Boston conference table. I would like to include the SKUs and maybe also the images, and let's set it to active. You can ignore this message, and I will go ahead and duplicate the product. So this means that now, besides the Houston conference table, we also have a Boston conference table, which is exactly the same. So it has the same 2 variants, modern and contemporary. Now let's return to Business Central and sync the products. So I will click on synchronization and then sync products. And again, a job queue will start and will sync the products. So basically one additional product, because we already had Houston, and now we also should have Boston. So let's go and have a look. I will click on related, and then I will go to the products page. So now you can see that besides Houston, we indeed have the Boston conference table. So let's select the line. And now what you see is that we have 2 item numbers. So let's quickly return to the first one. So Houston, which we did in the previous video. So there we saw that only one item was created based on the standard number series of the inventory setup. 1002 is the number, but only one item. So although we had 2 variants. Now in this case with item number, you see that based on the number of variants, Business Central will create separate items. So now we have 2 items. So not one item with 2 variants, but 2 separate items. So for each variant, we have a separate item. So number 1 and number 2, as you can see here. All right. So that's important. That's a second option. So instead of only having one item, we now have 2 items, so 1 for each variant. All right. And yeah, if you want to have a look, let's quickly open number 2. So and there you can see the Boston conference table. So for variant number 2. And also here with the posting groups that are coming from the item template. So also here, let's quickly have a look at the variants. So I will go to item variants. And you will see that there are no variants. So that's what we just saw. Instead of creating one item with multiple variants, Business Central has created 2 items. So 1 for each variant. Now, suppose that you want to create one item with multiple variants, then we can use the SKU mapping variant code. So let's go and have a look. So I will go to variant code. So then there is a variant prefix that Business Central can use. And let's return to Shopify. And also here, let's duplicate one of these items. So let's go to the Boston conference table and quickly duplicate it. And let's call it the Chicago conference table. So also here I will include the image and the SKUs and set it as active. There we go. So again, the same item with the same variants, as you can see, but with a different name, with a different code, so that we can sync it to Business Central. So let's return to Business Central and let's run the synchronization again. So I will click here on Sync Products. The job queue will start again, so it will sync the additional items. So if we go to the products page, we should have 3 items. So there we go. And so here's the Chicago conference table. Now what you see here for the first time is that Business Central has created variants. So the item number is based on the number series of the inventory posting setup, and it has created 2 variants based on the SKU names that we have in Shopify. So if I open the item number, and there we go. You see that now we have 2 variants for 1 item. So this means that if I return to the Shopify shop cart with a SKU mapping field, first of all, you can specify if you want to create, or if you want to consider the Shopify variants, create them as separate items or create them as variants. So in these options, they will specify how the item number and the variant code is called. So now we just had the variant code where Business Central uses the SKU name of Shopify, but you can also use the item number and variant code. If in Shopify we use the vendor item number to name SKUs, then we can also consider that, or we can use a barcode.